Okay, and we're on to chapter 2, and this is in Maeve's perspective. Ugh, what is that noise? My head is pounding and I can hardly think straight. I listen to the sound of peeling paper, but it's not as violent. It's softer than that, almost as if the noise is muffling itself, aware of my presence. I open my eyes and I'm greeted to the same boring, white, wooded ceiling. The taste of bread still lingers in my mouth from last night. I turn my head to the noise. It's Ethan standing in front of a wall covered in small, square pieces of paper. They look completely foreign to me. It's as if the notes have been glued to the wall by magic. All of them are white, each having two or three words written on them. If only I could read. I hear Ethan muttering to himself. Ah, so everything is kind of backwards. In French, instead of saying my mom, it's the mother of me. I gaze at Ethan, who stands motionless in front of the countless number of scraps of paper. He's staring intensely at both the book in his hand and the wall accompanying him. He seems to feel me watching. Flicking his head over to me, he opens his arms in an expression of grateful gratitude. Ah, good morning. I'm glad to see you're awake. I let you sleep a little longer than normal. I stare at him and the wall in confusion. He seems to notice my curiosity. He runs his eyes back and forth from each note plastered onto the wood. Not shortly after, Not shortly after, he turns back to me with an encouraging smile. I'm learning French! He then pauses, once again, turning to the polished wooded wall. I think he's trying to check himself on what words to use or how to pronounce it. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm just shocked that he's managed to put together a coherent sentence. Still sounds awful, though. Hmm. Pretty good? Yep, that's what he's doing. Luckily for me, I happen to know one English word that will sum up his performance perfectly. Bad. I watch Ethan raise his eyebrow and look at the book in his hand, only to sag his shoulders with a sigh. Obviously, he was a little disappointed in my answer, but the way he went about his reaction was almost comedic. I almost chuckle. Did he do that on purpose? I'm trying. I can't understand what he's saying, but the response he gave me sounded sarcastic, spiffy, and humorous. Like he already knew that it was going to sound terrible. He sits down in the rocking chair next to me, leaning forward with an elbow on his knee. You've healed a lot faster than I expected. I don't know if that's due to you being young or if it's because of a passive ability you have. Well, it doesn't matter. You should be able to put a little pressure on your leg now. So you should be fine with a crutch. Alright, let's get you to the bathroom. Whether or not you feel like you need to or not, you need to go. I could have you use a bedpan, but I have a feeling you would not be a fan of that. I turn my head slightly sideways at his own stupidity. I can't tell if he's doing it on purpose or if he's just an idiot. As I stare at him in confusion, he finally seems to notice the issue. Right, you can't understand me. You need to stop doing that. He clears his throat. Bathroom? Now, that's something I understood. The pronunciation was still terrible, but I got the message. He points his finger to a closed door down the room. It's a good 15 feet away, maybe more. Now that I think about it, the room I'm in is fairly large. The ceiling is 2 or 3 feet higher than what I'm used to. This clinic looks more like an incredibly nice house than, well, a clinic. Looking back at Ethan, I nod my head. I don't exactly know what's in that room, but I have to go. He understands the gesture. Thought so. Getting up from the chair, I watch him as he circles around the bed, stopping just in front of some kind of thing. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It looks like a compressed pile of black leather and polished steel. I watch him kneel down and pick it up. He grabs two grips on the top, and the contorted mess unfolds into a chair with wheels. I'm at a loss for words. I have never seen something look so cool and stupid at the same time. Am I supposed to get in that? I can't exactly get out of bed. He quickly answers my own question. Reaching under me, he lifts me from the bed and places me in the weird contraption. There we go. I look back at him. He looks happy with himself, like he just got through laughing at his own joke. He begins pushing the chair forward. I spin back around and brace myself. It feels odd. I don't particularly like the experience, I feel as if I don't have control over my own momentum, like I'm gliding in the air. As we roll up to the door, he reaches past me and pulls down the handle. The door slowly swings open, revealing a granite floor with polished wooden walls. We come to stop in front of a bowl? Alright, I think I'll leave it to you from here. Tell me when you're finished. I am perplexed. It's nothing like an outhouse. I turn back to him in hopes of getting some kind of answer, hopefully, one in French. He notices my concern. He follows through with a sigh. Here. He picks me up and sets me down onto it. It feels like I'm sitting on glass. He then points past my right shoulder to a silver handle. Geez, thanks, Doc. That was such a massive help that it gave me about 30 more questions in need of an answer. Uh. Ethan sets his hand on the lever and pulls it. I jump with a loud squeal from the sudden explosive rush of water busting out from under me. I wasn't anticipating that what I was sitting on to be a portal to the abyss. What is this thing? I think I understand the functionality, but doesn't explain the necessity. I look at Ethan, who's been hysterically laughing the entire time. Okay, thanks, jackass. Scare a young girl half to death and laugh about it, why don't you? He then continues to piss me off even further. Don't worry, it's supposed to do that. There are crutches next to you that you can use to stand up, clean yourself afterwards. I can't understand you, you fuck. Ah! I'm so frustrated. I have never come across someone so inept that they forget the very person they're talking to can't speak the same damn language. I watch him as he takes the crutches to the left of me and displays how to properly use them. Readjusting the crutches to my height, he sets them down to me. All right, I'll be outside. Hold on, wait a minute. I'm still not exactly clear what you want me to do. I try to muster up the courage to ask, but again, my own shyness precedes me. I open my mouth, and not a word comes out. He points a finger towards the bathroom door. He walks through it and closes it, leaving me alone to myself. Well, after fumbling around, I think I did what he was asking me to do. I pull the lever like he showed me when I finish. One thing is that that thing is definitely consistent at his scaring the living daylights out of me. I almost lost my balance holding onto the crutch. I turn around with a sigh. I face towards the faucet that sits a few feet from me, coming up to my neck. The countertop that surrounds it seems to be made from granite. It's an expensive material. I remember stealing a vase made out of the stuff. It kept me fed for a good month. I look up to the large mirror that is attached to the wall behind it. It spans from each corner of the counter all the way up to the ceiling. How rich is this guy? Or more likely, how rich are his parents? I look into the reflection of the mirror. It's crystal clear. Not a scratch or stain on it. He doesn't seem to have a butler or a maid, so does he clean it himself? Wait, something's off. There was something I didn't recognize in the mirror. She has short pink hair. But not just any pink, it's bright pink. Ah! Did she dye that herself? It looks awful. Her head looks like the mane of a unicorn. Wait a minute. I slowly insert my fingers into my pink, mutilated hair. My eyes widen as I come to terms with the realization. What followed can only be described as a scream of bloody murder. Why am I screaming? Because I look like a French tooth fairy? I holler out and shout in complete despair at the sight of my ruined hair. I hear the rooms of the house echo with my voice. Ethan busts into the room looking worried, as he should be. If he doesn't explain why he did this to me, for good reason, someone's going to die. What's wrong? I point to the top of my head, feeling the heat radiating off my face. I apologize to my dead mother as I scream every conceivable vile word in the deepest French accent I could probably have ever mustered. Ethan remains calm and tries to reason with me, holding up his fingers indicating for me to wait. He runs out and comes back with a poster in his hand. It looks freshly printed with only the top two corners ripped. On the front is a sketch of a girlish-looking boy with long hair. He points to each listed feature, translating them to French as best he can. Long brown hair, short, possibly male or female. Okay, that makes sense. He didn't want someone to recognize me, so he cut and dyed my hair a different color. The only problem is... But why pink? Ethan pauses and looks at me as he scratches his head. He awkwardly answers in his best French. I don't know what pink means. I let my arms drop to my side as every fragment of rage and anger that was once in me is now gone. I don't even care anymore. I'm going to bed. Ethan watches me stomp off past him with only a single crutch in hand. The chair? Fuck your chair! I'll get back in bed myself! Approaching the edge of the bed, I drop the crutch and roll onto the fluffy sheets. I end up putting a little too much weight on my left leg in the process, and I cry out in pain. Ethan runs over to help, but I raise my hand to indicate his help is the last thing I want right now. I settle myself comfortably under the blankets and raise them over my head. Ethan sits there watching awkwardly, not sure what to do or how to approach me. This is exactly how I imagined Maeve to be. I don't know why, but I love her, her attitude. So, are you hungry? I lay motionless, facing away from him, and wrapped in the sheets, not saying a word. I was not in the mood for conversation, or anything for that matter. All right, well, I'll be downstairs. I hear him turn with a pause, stopping just before exiting the door. If you come down, use the crutches. He quietly shuts the door, leaving me alone once again. He really likes doing that, doesn't he? He probably has a phobia of small girls. Maybe he's secretly some ex-pedophile recovering from rehab. Wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, right now, I'm hoping for about any excuse to put a knife in his neck. I realize that he's only trying to help, but I don't know. Maybe he's just really bad at it? It would explain why he dyed my hair such a shit color. I mean, out of every color, why pink? Regardless, there's still one thing I don't understand. Why is he helping me? This next part is in Ethan's perspective. Well, that was a disaster. How am I supposed to tell her that the only two colors I had were brown and pink? I now realized she was trying to ask why I dyed her hair that specific color, but it went right over my head. I really should have studied color words in French. At least I looked into what brown was. I think in response to me not answering only made things worse. I'll have to avoid telling her it's made from mana crystals. If she ever found out, she would be stuck with that for a few years. Pretty sure she'd kill me. I walk down the accompanying stairs, circling as the wind blows to the first floor. I approach the bottom, looking over to the massive pile of books and papers I have laid out on the living room table. I remember the wall of sticky notes I have upstairs. I really should move those all down here. There's no reason for them to still be up there anymore. I've memorized most of the essential words, but photographic memory is only going to take me so far. I need to understand the fundamentals of how to properly pronounce them and structure them in a sentence. I take a seat on a three-man couch just behind the mound of textbooks. Okay, let's see. I scan through the layers of paper scattered across the table, thinking of where I should start next. I remember something. Oh, right. The mail. Standing up from the cushioned couch, I take my leave out the large wooden front door. I walk to the mailbox and see Vincent across the street tending to his flowers. He's always had a gentle heart for small things. I wave at him. Good morning, Vincent! He spins around with a surprised look on his face. He picks himself up off the dirt and begins quickly approaching me. He's wearing brown shorts and a white top. He and I have similar tastes in attire. We both hate the whole dress-up routine, and most of the nobles do around here. There's a nice individual vibe you get from the casual wear, or at least our view of what counts as casual. The only major difference I would have to say is he's about 15 years older. Ethan, I've been meaning to talk to you about something. I take out the dozens of letters out of my box and set them to the side. Picking out and flicking through one after another, I organize them in two different groups, one related to my work, and the other for junk. The junk is usually stuff about a noble's kitten passing away. Sad, but not really in need of my attention. Speaking of something in need of my attention... yeah, what is it? I'd be happy to help. Oh, no, it's nothing. I need help with... I just wanted to thank you for helping my daughter. The medicine you gave her really worked wonders. Vincent is kind-hearted. He always worries about thanking others for their kindness first before ever thinking about his own benefits. He's a lot like me in a way. It's probably why we get along so well, even though I'm so young compared to him. He never did look down at me like I was just some kid who got lucky with his parents. All the nobles thought of me that way when I first moved here, but not him. Don't thank me. Thank my father. He's the one who came up with the recipe. Most doctors nowadays use abilities for about everything, but like your daughter's strep throat, there were just some things that abilities can't heal directly. I watched him shake his head at me. He then switches to a look of displeasure, kind of like what a mother gives to her son when they misbehave. Quit being so modest all the time. Let me be grateful for once. All right, fine. You're welcome. He looks over my shoulder to the front of my door. I turn my neck towards the place he's looking. He's looking. He seems to have noticed the closed sign I stuck on the front door. That reminds me, I still need to put up a sign on the overhang. Are you still closed? You're not running out of business, are you? I laugh at the remark. No, I'm just taking a break is all. It's not because those 2 volunteers died, is it? That wasn't your fault, Ethan. Of course he would ask that. Everyone thinks that's the reason. Why does it always go back to that dumb mistake I made? It's been a whole year. I'm over it. I understand his reasoning, so I don't blame him for coming to that conclusion. But I just wish people would stop bringing it up. Oh no, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with that. Oh really? Then what's the reason? I sigh. I can't dodge the question anymore. I'm sure it won't hurt to be vague about it. I have a French-speaking patient who's in critical condition. I'm having to spend all my time watching over them. Right now, I'm teaching myself how to speak French so I can communicate with them. Vincent sets his hands on his side, shaking his head with a smile. Always going above and beyond. How are you at the whole learning French thing? I just started yesterday night. I should have it down sometimes this winter if I work hard enough. I only need to learn just enough to teach them how to speak English. You're going to what? Well, they seem uneducated, so I plan on teaching them a thing or two before I let them go. Vincent takes a moment to process what he just heard. He scratches his scruffy beard with a slight smile and thought. Shortly after, he slowly reels back and begins laughing at my own selflessness with a shake of his head. That does sound like you. All right, well, I'll leave you to it. Nice talking to you, Ethan. Don't wear yourself out. You too, Vincent. Watching him head off back to tend his flowers, I finish up sorting my mail, taking the junk half and shoving it into my back pockets. As I head back inside, I scatter the important letters onto the kitchen counter while throwing the junk mail into the trash. All right, let's get started. I settle myself down onto the couch once again. Picking up one of the books, I skim through the names of each segment and decide which chapter I should continue reading. I think of the time when she screamed at me, in an odd way. It was violent, yet friendly. Like how 2 good friends would bombard each other with insults, yet the faults they were addressing to be jokes or straight harmless honesty. I chuckle to myself as I begin. Whatever the case, one thing is definitely clear to me. I have a lot of work ahead of me, and once I'm done, it'll be her turn. Alright, and now we're back to Maeve's perspective. I open my eyes once again to the same boring ceiling. How long has it been? I feel like I've been in this bed for ages. A few months, maybe? My leg is feeling a lot better. I'm beginning to be able to walk on it without screaming out in agony. So that's a plus. I'm not to the point where I can walk without a crutch, but I'll take what I can get. I look over to Ethan's rocking chair. Surprisingly, it's empty. This is the first time he isn't here to greet me with that dumb look on his face. I would think I'd be happy about that, but for some reason the room feels empty. Maybe I should check on him. Yeah, he's probably downstairs. Now that I think about it, I've never been downstairs. Not since I came in with a hole in my chest, at least. Pulling the sheets off me, I swivel to the left and grab one of the crutches leaning on the nightstand. It's nice that he gave me this room. It feels a lot more at home knowing this is now my room and not just some extra emergency dorm. I won't have to stay in this room for much longer, though. Once my leg is healed, I plan on getting out of here. I doubt he would want me to stay around. Especially since I'm half Tigran. I would only cause trouble for him if anyone found out. Looking over to my window, my eyes widen. A thick white paste covers the outside house and roads. It's snowing. It's snowing, yet the inside of the house isn't cold? Is it magic? I don't know anyone who can manipulate weather to snow when it's warm. I walk up to the window, setting my hand on the glass, and to my surprise, it's as cold as ice. I'm really confused. I vaguely remember this house having a fireplace on the first floor, but one fireplace can't heat the whole house. Wait, it's snowing? Is it winter already? How long have I been up here? 5? 6 months? This is a question I have to have Ethan answer when I find him. And find him I shall. Opening my door, I'm greeted by another well-sized room. I look around and spot a staircase to my right, down a small hall. The stairs creak loudly as I set my foot down onto the step. Nails on polished boards quietly winch as I descend further on. As I approach a turning point in the small open stairwell, I hear the sound of a soft snore. I round the corner, and my eyes meet something. My eyes meet something that only astounds me. There, lying in a three-cushioned couch, is a passed-out Ethan surrounded by mountains of papers and books. "Hey!" I shout at him, watching him flail his arms about like a panicking cat. How did you get down here?" "I walked." Ethan pauses for a moment, thinking about the small levels of irony in the statement. I can see that." I point my finger and circle it around him, highlighting the mess that surrounds him. "What is all this?" "French." I scratch my head. I know he's been studying French, and I will say he's improved drastically. He's still terrible at pronouncing things right, but I can't give him much fault for that. I look at all the papers scattered everywhere. That's a lot." I watch Ethan look around him at all the scattered work. Comedically, he then looks up at me with a sharp smile. "I know." He begins clearing some of the objects around him. He grabs papers and books and tosses them aside. "Here, come sit down." I climb down the rest of the stairs and sit next to him. Setting down my crutch, I look up at him perplexed. I am curious what he has to say. "Do you know how to read?" "Not really." "I thought so. Well, from today on, I'm going to teach you how to read and speak the English language. First, let's start with the alphabet." "Wait, what? Why is he doing this? I've done nothing for him in return. I've been nothing but a leech? A tedder holding him down financially? He hasn't been able to get any work done or make any money to pay bills or buy food? I wouldn't be surprised if he's living entirely off his savings right now. And just when he's about to be free of me, he decides to go and do this? I'm just about healthy enough to leave and live on my own. He doesn't have to do this. Why?" "Why?" Ethan turns to look down at me. He seems to not have heard me. "Hmm? Why are you helping me? I know you're not an idiot. I'm a criminal. I've killed people." "Yeah, and I've killed people too." "Huh?" "My job as a doctor requires me to make tough decisions. In the process, I've made mistakes, and those mistakes have killed people. You ended up having to kill someone when you made a mistake. Unless the kills you mentioned were crimes you enjoyed committing. I doubt it, though. You and I both had to make these mistakes in order to live. There is nothing wrong with that. Don't act like you're the only one who has committed a sin. Now quit questioning my moral decisions and read the damn alphabet." I'm at a loss for words. What am I supposed to say to that? Is there anything I can say? It's like he just answered every possible counter-argument I could throw at him before he even got the chance to ask. I feel my throat swell. "What?" Slowly, tears begin to build up in my eyes. I can't keep my composure. You know what? Fine. I'll tell him. "My name..." I feel my voice begin to crack. My name is Maeve." "Ah, so now you tell me your name, after I told you mine, like, months ago. A little slow in your manners, but it's progress." Tears begin streaming down my face. I'm really only left with one thing to say. "You're such an asshole." A little sarcasm never hurt. Now come on, wipe those tears away. You've got a lot of work to do. Wow. Oh my. Okay, so I like how this one, chapter 2, specifically was slower and kind of like catching up about what's been going on after the first chapter. I like how the first chapter was very full of action and really kind of fast paced and kind of gave you a backstory and kind of sets the stepping stones for the rest of the story. And then chapter 2, it kind of slows down and you get to feel kind of more about what it feels like two main characters. I feel like Ethan is going to be a main character, both of their kind of personalities, how they work together. And okay, I'm starting to see why people love this so much. All right, now on to chapter 3.